Hi to you.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Tell us what happened.
Like you said, Danny was 29, he was playing professional rugby league, and he had an undiagnosed heart condition that we knew nothing about. To the outside world and to us, he was very healthy, young, fit, he was doing everything right. And he was only 5-6 minutes into the game and he suffered a massive cardiac arrest. And unfortunately, the extent of the damage was too much and he wasn't able to be saved.
And as a result, I mean, obviously desperately sad. And you had two,
I had 5-month-old twins, Phoebe and Bobby.
Okay. An incredibly challenging, stressful, terrible time for you. Then you learned more about what had happened to him and the condition. Tell us what happened.
Obviously, slowly, with having to see the doctors and seeing experts, we learned very quickly what had happened and that it was a hereditary condition, and the twins could be vulnerable to it as well. We started keeping on top of that. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
And what is that?
So Danny had an enlarged heart, so being a sportsman, putting his heart under a lot of pressure, his heart was sort of working backwards. So he was doing everything right for, what would be right for generally for fit and healthy people, but for Danny in the condition that he had, being so fit, being so healthy, worked backwards, and that's what killed him. And his heart was 3 times the size that it should have been when he died. Okay,
and that is obviously something that you can't, or you don't detect generally.
No, generally it's found in families through a tragedy, through somebody young dying. Danny's family have been tested, and there's 3 members of the family that also have the gene. They're perfectly fine, and they will be fine now because of Danny. But yeah, it is a hereditary condition.
And how do people need to change their lifestyle as a result of that?
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because you don't want to tell people not to be fit and healthy. It's really hard, but I guess it's just, looking for signs, finding out about your family history. I know my dad had a heart attack just before Danny died, and when the doctor said, "Do you have any family history?" he said no, but actually it turns out there is some family history. So I think knowing your family, knowing your body and listening and going to the doctors, going to screenings, the charity, the Danny Jones Defibrillator Fund now, we've screened nearly 1,000 people with through cardiac screening, and there's always 10% of every 100 that come back with something. We've found a couple of cardiac genes now through the screening as well. So, if you see something like that, see an opportunity, book on. It might cost you £30, it might cost you 60, depending on the day and who's organised it, but they're just the most precious opportunities.
And what form does that screening take? What's it like?
So, through the charity, we screen 100 people at once, and it's just sort of a big event on one day. People sign up. Generally, we've done it through rugby clubs. Obviously, with the charity, that's where the charity began. But we've just done my local running club in Halifax. We screened 99 people, and 11 came back with needing further tests.
Wow.
One was told to stop running immediately on the day. So yeah, that's.
What form does the test take?
Oh, sorry. So you have an ECG.
Right.
And then if anything comes back from the ECG, you then have an echocardiogram, and then you get every single person that has an ECG gets to see a cardiac consultant. So that process can
Sounds
take...
expensive.
It is expensive. It costs about £6,000 to screen 100 people. Right. We like to provide as much money as we can to get the costs down. Fundraiser raise money to pay towards it, but generally people just need to contribute a little bit towards being screened. For someone like me, you'd pay anything now because it's touched me personally. And, I understand it can be expensive, but, to get your family screened and get to have that knowledge, even if there is something wrong. I've spoken to so many people that have found scary conditions, but, they're going to be OK because they've been screened. Yeah. Danny never had that opportunity. Even playing for professional sport, he was never screened.